going on, everyone? And welcome to episode 17 of Makowski's Minute. We're still rolling with Sabbath. We're still rolling with the Chain Man. Good to have you on here, brother.
Thank you, man.
And this week we're talking about Masters of Reality. Alright, so released in July of 71, and it was certified gold by September of 71, which is pretty cool. It hit number 5 in the UK and number 8 in the US Billboards, which was the only Sabbath album to go in the top 10 of the album charts until 2013's 13.
Yes.
And I believe Rolling Stone called it, it was number 300 in Rolling Stone's greatest albums of all time, and number 34 in Rolling Stone's 100 greatest metal albums. So it's, pretty cool album, man. It's one of my favorites to jam on in the house, and yeah. Well, what's your take on old Masters of Reality, Chan?
I love this album. It's weird because I think a lot of people I know, a lot of metalheads, a lot of even rock people that are just big fans of hard rock and roll, they often bring this album up from Sabbath. Like before Paranoid, even before some of the other albums. Like we were talking about earlier, a lot of like sludge and stoner metal bands. This is the album.
Subgenres of metal have come off of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the pioneering album for that genre. It seems like Sweet Leaf about marijuana usage.
Which actually, the intro of that is supposedly the story goes, Ozzy brought Tony Iommi a doobie when they're starting to record in the studio. And they hit record and said, all right, let's do this. Tony took a puff and went, and they recorded it, and that's the intro. So
there she blows.
That's kind of cool. But yeah, a lot of subgenres came off of it. People say sludge metal, like you said, and stuff. And actually, you see bands from like the 90s, like there's a band called Masters of Reality that
I didn't know
their
that.
name from that.
No
So
kidding.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I love Peter Steele from Typo Negative, the lead singer, bass player. He had a great quote. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know the exact line he said, but it was something to the extent of, in reference to this album in Sabbath, was that he said, it sounds like a dinosaur walking through the forest. Like this, you imagine these trees and this massive, like just this mammoth footsteps falling. And you can kind of hear that sound, It makes a lot of sense to me anyways.
No, I hear you, man. I hear you. Oh, man. I mean, even the success of the album, though, and, that whole sound and the subgenres and everything, the singles off of it, After Forever and Children of the Grave, didn't chart. At least I couldn't find the information that they charted at all, which is a shame.
Wild.
I mean, Children of the Grave.
Children of the Grave.
It's on right now, but it's
so
such
heavy.
A great song.
That's probably why I didn't chart. It's too heavy.
It's too heavy.
And After Forever was interesting, too, because that one was really... The lyrical content was Christianity based, and that was, as far as my knowledge goes, that was the first time really Sabbath had dealt in that. I mean, you listen to it, and it's kind of another side of them, and it almost even has as opposed to the rest of the album, almost has a cheerier sound. Yeah. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one. I mean, they were all over with the religion kind of thing. They were never pure Satanists. They saw people that were evil to the world as Satanists.
Yep.
And I mean, maybe they tried to embody that to show the people. Yeah, stuff like that. But I mean, this album is very diverse, though. You got the song "Solitude" that we were talking about. That if you can tell us who sang "Solitude," then we will love you. Everybody says it's Ozzy, but I don't know about that.
It doesn't sound like
Ozzy. I don't know.
I love that when Joe and I were talking earlier, we were talking about it before the video. We're like, who sang Solitude? We're both going, we've been asking it for years.
I don't know. But even on that tune, you got Tony Iommi playing flute. He's got a flute track on there.
That's cool.
I mean,
and it was the first album, so Rat Tail was the first instrumental on Paranoid. This was their second one, and Embryo is the instrumental. Orchid and Embryo. There's two on here. Orchid and Embryo. And first, like, fully acoustic one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So first fully acoustic, and Sabbath kept doing that throughout their whole career span. They do these short little, like 30 seconds to a minute long instrumental tracks that were often acoustic in nature, and then they cut into something heavy. Like here, Embryo and the Children of the Grave, they just pummel you after that.
Well, I mean, with this album though was different for them because like Black Sabbath, the debut album, and Paranoid, they went in and cut those in like 2 days. I mean, with Paranoid 2, they cut that in like 2 days.
Right.
And this was the first album that they said they kind of took their time. They went into the studio and thought about what they were doing. It was more of Tony Iommi kind of taking on a producer role, just starting to kind of scratch at that a little bit. And I mean, it shows, with the instrumentals and stuff like that. So
it does that, and just the fact that I love I don't even know if you can see it on there.
Mine's a little scratched up, sorry.
But the font itself, like it's like, oh, Black Sabbath. What's the album? It says Master Reality. It's all in black, so you kind of got it tilted just right. But just this whole vibe of it has a very groovy vibe, man. A very it has that stonery kind of sludge.
A metal groove.
The purple and black. A lot of bands have emanated since then. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Just a great metal album. A lot of the subgenres popping up on that. I mean, it is awesome. It's
a classic, man. Year after year, too. It's like how it still blows my mind how these bands from back in the day, every single year they're putting out not just an album, a great album, a masterpiece often. Mm-hmm. 70, 71. It's like year after year. How do they find the time to write these gems?
God, I don't know. But hey, join us next week when we're talking about another gem. Black Sabbath Volume 4. One of my favorites, man. I mean, I don't know about you, but
it's a great one.
That's a great one. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming on back.
My pleasure,
and hanging
brother.
out. And we're going to have Chandler back next week again when we're talking about Volume 4, Black Sabbath. Thanks, guys.
Rock on.
See you then.